Resource Collector Online. You are about to enjoy the services of a T36 Resource Collector. Assuming you are paid up on taxes, of course.
Bring us in, Dan.
I bring us in. Hello, everyone. I almost forgot what we were talking about. I had to ask Cassie because some stuff happened to the topic.
Yeah. What episode is it, Dan?
Is it 21? Is it 22?
21.
21.
Dead Space something. 21.
Dead Space something. Episode 21. Half of Dead Space 3.
I don't even think that. Like, maybe a third.
No, more than
Get into it. We're starting every episode. Hello, I'm Jim. The other one is Dan. This is Shack Out Back. We're in a shack in rural Manitoba. We talk about something every week. It's a book club of sorts.
We talk about only the hottest topics, such as Dead Space 3 and blood.
Such as bad graphic t-shirts and chains worn around your neck. So, we start every week with what, Dan? With what?
We started with the bi-weekly breakdown. I was trying to think if I heard that from anywhere, because I've definitely heard it from somewhere. And
You're the one who brought it in, so
yeah,
it's probably in the deep reaches of your brain.
I feel like I always start. What have you been doing these last 2 weeks? It feels like it's been ages since we last recorded.
Yeah, it's been like over 2 weeks since we last recorded, I think, because I had to go camping.
We recorded the last one really early. That was it, right?
So we could edit and put it up early, yeah.
Yes.
So I played a lot of stuff in the Vita this last 2 weeks. I played both Season 1 and Season 2 of The Walking Dead.
You're living in 2011, Jim. Wow.
Yep. I was thinking about this. If I was in 2011 and I had bought a Vita instead of my 360, I don't think I would have had a bad time. I think I would have been okay with that. I also played Spelunky on the Vita, Spelunky HD, and it's much better than Spelunky 2, and I love it very much. And I usually get to almost the end every time I play. It's an easier game, and I think I'm a bit better at it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Do you ever think you're gonna pick up something like that? You ever think you're gonna be like one day be like, let me get me a Vita, Jim?
You were talking about it enough that I was actually looking at it, and I toyed around with getting back into the 3DS and buying the Monster Hunter games and getting some JRPGs for the 3DS.
Here's the thing: right now is not the time to buy physical games and consoles because they're at a disgusting price. The reason why I bought my Vita was because I got it from GameCycle and it was broken. Like the screen was really cracked, so it was like $60, which is amazing for a Vita. And then I had to order a new screen, which is $20, and I had to fix it myself. And I'm like a light modder. I just modded an NES yesterday, and that's not too hard. But putting back together a Vita with a new screen was the most nerve-wracking and troublesome thing I ever had to do putting a games thing together. It sucked. It was hard as hell.
That was that bad, eh? Holy shit.
It's because the entire thing is contained within the screen. The screen is basically the case. So I had to take everything, all these little bits and pieces out with 100 different connectors and put them back in the right way. And I didn't fuck it up, but I imagine a lot of people would fuck that up.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I was proud because Cassie, a couple months ago, did the whole
Cassie Hatt modder
thing.
Yeah.
She's resident video game console modder. She's over there crouched down like a gremlin grabbing the Switch to play Mario Kart 8.
Me and Cassie start our modding business together.
That'd be nice. I'd like that.
On console, I've still been playing Fallout 3. I'm almost done Fallout 3. And I played Abzu. I played Abzu on the PlayStation 4.
Abzu's good. Abzu's very good. I like that.
I don't think it was as good as Journey, but it was a fun hour and a half game to play. I enjoyed it very much. I started listening to a podcast called Shipworm, which was made by the guys who made Limetown, which is the best narrative podcast I've ever listened to, and it was like a movie. It was like a podcast movie.
You're just saying words. Shipworm, Limetown.
Limetown is like a big narrative podcast with like characters and events and stuff like that. It's the best one I've ever listened to, and they put out like a podcast movie, so it's like a 2-hour long like podcast thing that's like a narrative. It was good. It wasn't as good as Limetown, but it was good. And then I watched some good movies on Shudder, my weekly Shudder movie. I watched The Boy Behind the Door, which was advertised to me on Snapchat. And I was over at my friend's house and I was like, oh, Loren, we could watch this together. And I didn't know that it was about 2 kids being abducted by pedophiles and having to escape a big house full of pedophiles and getting shot and killing people and stuff.
What's it called?
The Boy Behind the Door. The Boys Behind the Door.
Boy Behind the Door. Oh, yeah, this was the movie that you said, yeah.
It looked interesting.
That's interesting.
It was good. It had problems with it, but it was definitely good. And then I watched a movie last night called Thoroughbreds, which was Anton Yelchin's last movie before he died. and it was great. I fucking loved that movie very much. It was awesome.
Thoroughbreds.
It stars the lady from The Witch and the girl from Ready Player One. I think she's in Ready Player One anyway. She's a very good actress. I don't remember her name. Anna Taylor-Joy or something, or maybe that's the girl from The Witch.
No, that is what it is. Anna Taylor-Joy. Interesting.
Other than that, not too much besides that. I went camping. I modded an NES. I did a bunch of stuff, but we'll save that. What did you do with the last 2 weeks, Daniel?
What have me done? What have I been doing? I've been watching a lot of Gundam Seed. I've been really crunching down. I'm on a schedule here. I watched like 30 episodes of Gundam Seed in the last 2 weeks, I bet. I'm finishing it up tonight. I started getting all my airbrush stuff ready. I ordered a compressor booth, and I got that. You've
been nonstop talking about painting things.
I'm so excited.
Sending pictures of your paint with labels on it to our Discord.
Yeah, I pre-thinned some of my paints. I got solvent-resistant PET bottles for them. Little solvent bottles. I got a nice little booth with lights in it that folds up into a little briefcase that tucks.
That looked like a sex machine. That picture you sent me, it looked like a sex machine.
I'll show it when it's set up. I'm gonna test it out on the weekend. Me and Cass finished Community. That was our dinner time show. Let me tell you, that last episode of that show is very sad. You can tell all of them are like. They're very sad. Like, Chang is crying and stuff, and it's like, this is not a character. That he's fucking crying in real life. He's very sad.
It sucked so much that, like, bad stuff happened behind the scenes. Like, they got canceled, basically.
Chevy
and picked up by
Chase,
Yahoo.
they had to dip because he was a fucking asshole.
Yeah, they fired Dan Harmon, and then Dan Harmon came back and had to, rescue the vestiges of that show. And, Dan Harmon, he talked about this on Harmontown once, but he was like sexually harassing one of his like underlings, but like that's not good, and I bet that kind of contributed to the show like dipping quality and stuff.
I'll keep going in one sec, but do people like him? Is he a nice guy?
The thing with Dan Harmon is that you don't have to you don't have to like that, right? Like, you don't have to say, oh, it's fine. But he was one of the few people who he didn't get discovered. He basically, no one knew about it, and he told everyone about it on his podcast. He said, yeah, like, I mistreated this person who was my employee, and he said stuff like, I never would have done it if I had any respect for women and all this different stuff, and he apologized and did all these things, and people, like, you don't see that a lot.
People, like, it's good, I guess. Like, it's good that he brought it up, but it's like,
it's still not good he did in the first place. It's good that he wasn't like that. It wasn't like Dan Harmon, like someone comes out and tells everything about Dan Harmon because Dan Harmon's a piece of shit. And Dan Harmon's a piece of shit in some ways, but like, I really like Dan Harmon. Aside from what he did, like the shitty things he does, but he's an interesting person to learn about, and I feel like that's very in character for him to like own up to that, which is why I still watch his stuff. Yeah,
but other than that, I got my second COVID shot. Me and Cassie both got it, and we were dead for a day. Cassie was extremely nauseous for a day, like couldn't eat anything, couldn't hold anything down, and I had a headache that I'd get up and like agonizingly scream, and then I have to sit back down. And then we were okay.
The brain worms only ate a part of your brain.
Yeah, the vestigial brain worms. But other than that...
the next day you decided it would be a good idea for us to go on a 10-kilometer hike.
It was good. It was a good hike. Other than that, nothing too much. I've just been enjoying the time. I've been getting back into going to the gym and everything like that, so it's all good. Stuff's kind of going back to relative normalcy, which is good. Yeah.
I've been working out too. I realized that I had to put my suit on today because I'm looking for a job.
You had to put your fancy monkey suit on, eh?
Yeah, I did. I put my little fez on my red vest, and I figured out that my red vest doesn't fit right anymore, so I'm like, fuck, I put on some COVID weight. So I've been like working out and eating better and stuff the last week and a half, which is a struggle for me because I don't think I've talked about it on the show, but I have eating disorders. Like, I almost died because of how anorexic I was when I was a teenager, so... It's tough for me, but I'm getting through it. Like, it's tough. Good. It's a tough thing, yeah.
It's all good. Can I tell you one more thing I saw that I keep seeing it on my Twitter feed a million different times because people are sharing it now?
Let's keep stalling so we won't have to talk about Dead Space 3.
So the Olympics is going on right now. And the rock wall is situated right beside I believe it's the I forget the exact time. There's a big, huge 1-to-1 scale statue of the Unicorn Gundam there. That like can transform and everything. So the rock wall is facing it. So all the pictures that are coming out have the huge Unicorn Gundam looking at the Olympians. And
that's awesome.
BBC Sport put it out and said, just when you thought speed climbing was frightening, now you need to impress the Transformer too.
Normies, my favorite.
And and then they tried to backpedal really quickly, and everyone was like, "Shut the fuck up." Oh, it was very
yes,
funny.
fellow kids, we are cool too.
It was very funny to see it, and now everywhere I look, I'm seeing it today because I think it just recently happened.
All right, people are tired of our waffling, Dan. I don't want to talk about Dead Space 3 the whole time, but let's just call this Dead Space something. We'll talk about Dead Space as a whole. Okay. So me and you have a rocky relationship with Dead Space because we did an old podcast episode on it where we watched basically every piece of Dead Space media, and it killed us. Killed us from the inside out.
So did we... I feel like I played Dead Space 3 at that time as well.
Yeah, we played Dead Space 3.
Okay,
we watched...
solo.
Me and Dan watched the 2 animated Dead Space movies.
Fuck me if I know their names. I don't know what they're called.
One of them's called Aftermath. The other one's called something else.
Rebirth?
But it was basically like... Yes. So the first one came out before Dead Space 1, and it sucked hugely. It looked like a terrible fucking like Saturday night cartoon, basically. And then... bad. The second one came out before Dead Space 2 to promote it, and Strauss is in it, one of the characters in Dead Space 2, just to hype him up for the game. And it's better, but the way they did it with that is that they got a bunch of different studios do different parts of it, so the animation changes a lot. And for some reason, for the main parts, like...
It's the worst style.
Yeah, where the main plot's going, it's like this horrible 3D animation. It looks like fucking garbage.
Yeah, but, it's called Dead Space Rebirth and Dead Space Aftermath. So the way I think Aftermath was... Or Downfall, sorry. Downfall and Aftermath. I think Downfall was the one that looked like the Saturday morning cartoon style. Yes. And I'll take that style any day over...
No, that one looks so bad, bro. The animation that sucked.
It looked passable.
Here's the thing. There were some good parts. There were some good animated parts of that second Dead Space movie. There were some parts that actually looked pretty good. There were other parts that were like either terrible. I remember there's this one part where they're regular 2D animated and they look like fucking meat men. They look like the Hulk and they're like tearing Necroforce apart with their bare hands. It looks terrible. But yeah, basically the Dead Space series is this third-person shooter, Resident Evil 4-esque horror series set in space where you're an engineer named Isaac Clarke and you're fighting undead zombies, basically. And the problem with around the Dead Space series is that EA pumped $1 million billion fucking dollars into
Visceral.
For advertisements for everything else.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember? So there's 2 movies. Yeah, there's those 2 movies, and there's a famous Dead Space 2 Your Mom Hates This Game ad where a bunch of moms were in a room and they're like, "Oh God, this looks horrible."
God, my son can't play this game. He's ripping the head off the guy. Oh, now he's stomping on it. Stuff like that.
Yes, it was terrible. And it was just all this tone-deaf stuff that was around this great game. It reminded me a little bit of... We talked about Hellboy last week, right? Mm-hmm. It reminded me a little bit of those 2 animated movies that came out before Hellboy 2. But the fucking Dead Space movies were even worse. And I bet I bet they had even more money pumped into them than those 2 animated Hellboy movies. And they ended up way worse.
I just feel like it's a relic of a lost time. Like, those movies are going to go undiscovered. No one gives a fuck about those movies. No one remembers those movies fondly. They just came out... People watched them and went, "Oh yeah, Dead Space 2 is coming out." And then that's it.
You know what I discovered? I think I discovered this watching a Mandalore Gaming video on Dead Space, because I watched them all 3 Dead Space games before we did this podcast.
Yeah,
I watched them a few days ago.
I did as well.
But do you remember in Dead Space 2 where Isaac's waking up and that dude is like freeing him or whatever, that doctor guy who gets turned into a necromorph right in front of you?
He's like a black guy, right?
Yeah, he has his own Dead Space comic.
Why? Like, why?
It was like another promotional thing for Dead Space 2 where it was like a dude like escaping necromorphs or something, and then they were like, "Oh, this is prepping for Dead Space 2," and the main character of that he'd been following dies in the first 2 seconds of Dead Space 2 in a horrible way. It's so stupid.
Dead Space Extraction. Like, I get it. I understand. You want to promote your stuff, but like, who's it for? Who gives a fuck? Who cares?
Because let's talk about Dead Space 1, right? What are your thoughts about Dead Space 1, Dan?
Dead Space 1, it's one of the things I have the best memories of. Not the best memories, but like the most vivid memories of playing. Because I remember renting it, and I remember putting it in my Xbox
Jumbo
360
Video.
From Jumbo Video. I believe so, yeah. Playing it for a little bit and being like, this is way too fucking scary. I was like, I can't play this. And then I think
it was one of the best looking games at that time.
It still looks good. It looks good because it has good like art direction. I don't care if the textures are a bit muddy. Everything looks really good. And I got to the point where it's behind the nursery and it's like that little baby with the little Bulbasaur guy comes up. and he like shoots the doctor's hands in and then shoots his head. And I remember vividly being like, I'm not going through that door, and standing up and just ejecting the game and like returning it and getting.
You're an easily spooked man, but Dead Space 1 is pretty scary. If I had to like compare Dead Space 1, because I was thinking about this, Dead Space 1 is a lot like Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8, where they are like bombastic and stuff. And
I couldn't play those games.
They're bombastic and a bit like cheesy and stuff, but they have really, really scary moments.
I couldn't play those. Like, every time I see Resi 7 and 8 go on sale, I'm like, I should get that. And then I'm like, I won't play them. I'll install them and then play them for like an hour and then not be able to beat them because I'm scared.
I'm not going to spoil this or to the listeners or to you, but there is a part in Resident Evil 8 that I think rivals PT. It is the scariest fucking shit I've ever seen in the video game. Yeah, the baby.
Yeah,
don't say anything else about it. It's a big spoiler.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate that. I've seen so much shit from that game, and it's just disgusting. It's grotesque. I won't be able to play it. I love watching people play it, but I wouldn't be able to play it myself.
And I thought, because I played Dead Space 1, right? But I've played Dead Space 1 once, and it was a long time ago. It was like 8-9 years ago or something like that. I think I was still in high school. And it's not that replayable compared to the other ones, but Dead Space 1 is like a solid ass game. It's a good video game. You play it down, it's contained, that's it. When did it come out? Like 2008, 2009?
2007, 2008, I think. I think 2008.
Okay. So what else came out in 2008? It was like that, Fallout 3, I don't know, shit like that. And Dead Space 1 is probably the best looking game made at that point. It looks amazing for 2008.
Oh, fuck yeah, it does.
If I plop that in my 360, and I have it, I just played Dead Space 1 and played Dead Space 2 on my 360, but those games still look amazing. They look just as good as like AAA games right now. They look fucking great.
Iron Man, the movie video game, came out in 2008.
Yeah, this is a much better game to play. Get much better, cooler suits than Iron Man.
Fallout 3 came out in 2008.
Fallout 3 looks just as good as Dead Space 3. And then I think that the one that... Because what's your favorite out of the series, Dan?
Dead Space 2.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing.
Dead Space 2 is a good sequel as well. It's a perfect sequel. It is. Yeah. It builds on everything that Dead Space 1 did without taking away, I think, anything. Like, it adds on to the atmosphere, it adds on to the weapons, it adds on to the music and everything, and the enemies. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the story.
I was thinking that, like, Dead Space 1 has a fairly simplistic plot where you were, like, a nameless man. Your name's Isaac Clarke, but you don't talk during the game. You don't speak
in the first one, yeah.
No. And you just show up on Ishimura, and you're just walking around, and stuff kind of happens around. Like, you can see people die, like, through glass and shit.
Yeah.
And it's a very simple story of, like, you going through the ship, trying to discover what's wrong and save your girlfriend.
You're a captive audience.
Yeah. It's a very... puts the player in the shoes of the character kind of game. But Dead Space 2 kind of takes that away, where Dead Space 2 is, like, the perfect mix of Dead Space 1 and 3, where I'd liken Dead Space 2 more to, like, Resident Evil 4, where it has a couple scary moments, but most of it's just like, it's pretty actiony and like, but it's fun in a fun way.
Dead Space 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say it mixes horror and action and bombast a little bit better than the other games in the series. Dead Space 2, right away, Isaac Clarke is talking. He's a character. He's talking to people. He's in an insane asylum. You gotta run away. What are your thoughts on Dead Space 2 compared to Dead Space 1, Dan?
Do you think it was a good idea for him to start talking? I'm kind of mixed on it.
I think so. I think that the interactions, like the character interactions in Dead Space 2, are fairly, like, pretty good for a video game.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like his banter with Ellie and Strauss, and like him monologuing at the beginning with the other guy and with the doctor, and like talking to different people. I think it's done way better than Dead Space 3. Anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's not hard to do.
I think that's the only way you could take it, right? Because if it was another game where Isaac didn't talk and you didn't really get, like, it'd kind of be very similar to Dead Space 1. I don't think it would be as appreciated, right?
Yeah, I really like the silent protagonist that doesn't talk. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to fit yourself into.
Yeah.
But you can only do so much with a story, especially a story like that, like a horror story, if there's going to be side characters and stuff like that.
I think Dead Space 1 or Dead Space 2 does a good job of making you relate to the characters and like have an investment in the story too, because it makes sense where things go. And the character, I said before, but the character interactions are a lot better, especially between Isaac and Ellie. Like them playing off each other is pretty good in that game.
Yeah.
From what I remember. And with Strauss too and stuff. Like, I'm trying to think of different changes between Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2, because I think in Dead Space 2 there's a whole lot more enemies, a lot more enemy variety. Like, name some of your enemies and like your nicknames you have for them, Dan.
Dead Space 2 has the little babies, the little
Explodey babies.
the little explodey babies. They have the little skinny children that run at you and jump on you and howl and stuff, and they're fucking terrifying. There's also, I don't think it was in Dead Space 1, there's a like a big zombie that like explodes into a bunch of little things.
I think they're in Dead Space 1.
Were they in Dead Space 1?
They're more prevalent in Dead Space 2.
Yeah, I just remember them from Dead Space 2. And then Dead Space
Your favorite
2,
enemy. Your favorite enemy from Dead Space 2.
I like the hammerhead
dogs,
things,
Dan.
the dogs, that peek out from behind the corners at you and run at you. I hate that.
I think those are the best enemies in the Dead Space series.
They're designed really well as an enemy.
I remember playing Dead Space 2 the first time, and it's in this part where Isaac's like going through this industrial
like a shipping area or something?
Yeah, and he hasn't talked to you for a while, and then it's just dark. It's dark as fuck. And like you start seeing these little dudes like peek around corners, and they're huge like greyhound like zombies. And they jump over the crates, and two of them rush you at the same time from different angles and shit. They're so smart. It's such a good use of the area and use of enemy AI.
It's a good everything.
It's
It's
so
a good
funny.
build up because you're like, oh, there's no necromorphs. I haven't had a jump scare. That's really weird. And then you see shit run real fast out of the corner of your eye, and it's like, oh, and it doesn't sneak away from showing you what they are. You'll get full glimpses of them looking at you, and then they just won't do anything. And it's like,
that makes them creepy too, because they just stare at you for a bit, and then they
anything.
go
Sometimes
back,
they
and then they
anything.
lurch out at you.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I think there's a lot more like boss battles and stuff too in Dead Space 2. Like
I remember the one where you had to run around. You got pulled around through the station by the tentacles. You had to shoot it, and Dead Space 1 had a little bit of that near the end. Like everyone says the ending boss battle for Dead Space 1 isn't great.
I think that the ending battle for Dead Space 1, it's thematic because you're just fighting like a big dude. It's better than the last boss in Dead Space 2, dude. You're just fighting like a big necromorph basically, which is fine for a game like that. Yeah. Dead Space 2, I really don't like the ending of the Dead Space 2, like the last boss. I think it's fucking shit. What do you think about the last boss in Dead Space 2?
Is it like...
It's where you like hallucinate your dead girlfriend, and she's shooting like little kids
There's
at
like
you.
shadow things and stuff, like shadow necromorph type of things.
But they're just reskinned enemies, basically, that just swarm you, and then you have to like hit Nicole 3 times, and it's done. It's not good.
It's very odd. Okay, I'm gonna wait till we talk about the third one because I don't want to get into it.
So I think to summarize that, me and you have a pretty good. Like, we like Dead Space 1 a lot, but Dead Space 2, I'd rank it up there with my favorite horror games. It's probably in the top 5.
Yeah, me too.
It's awesome. It's a very fucking good game. Still a good game today, because it came out 10 years ago now. I think about 2011. It still holds up. It's awesome.
Mark my words, when they remaster it in... Let's say, when they remaster it in
22.
When they remaster it in 2025 for the Xbox X Series 2... They won't need to. Just go and replay it. It'll still look really good.
Yeah. I wonder if those games just work if you just plug them from a 360 copy into, like, an Xbox One and they run better. Probably.
Hopefully.
Going into our favorite game, Dan.
Dead Space 3, the best one?
I regret... Let me tell you, listener. I have a deep, deep regret in my heart from doing Dead Space this week. Because I love Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2, but I was like, oh, we'll play Dead Space 3 together. Because we tried it last time separately. Like, we didn't play together. And I didn't finish last time, I remember, and you finished and you hated it. So I was like, oh, maybe it'll be better with us together. And I fucking hated it. We could have spent so much time playing Hunt or Deep Rock with Brandon and Patrick. And no, every time I'd be like, oh shit, let's play Hunt tonight. And Dan would be like, oh, you ready to play Dead Space? I'm like, fuck me.
Yeah, I liked that. Over the last 2 weeks, our Deep Rock server, we go, do you want to play Deep Rock? And Jim would say yes, and I'd go, Jim, we have to play Dead Space 3.
So Dead Space 3, everything good we said about Dead Space 1 and 2, like the creepy atmosphere.
Take it all, rip it all out.
Environments, the cool weapons and stuff, just rip all that shit right out of there.
Jim, it's gone. Take it out and give me $5 for the bot emotion voice pack for your scavenger bot. Give me that. Give me that $5 for that.
So Dead Space 3, let me read you the tweet I wrote. So tell me how Dead Space 3 starts, Dan.
So I don't really understand the beginning. You're like in a city and there's a cult starting an uprising that's all about the markers and everything.
On the snow planet, Dan. Tell me about that part.
Oh, yeah. I always forget that happens. It's like a flashback, right? Flashback. Yes. A lot of years, right?
Yes.
And
like 200
you play
years.
as like a random person for a little bit. And then you just go through and you see the new enemies, and they're
see the Axemen.
Yeah.
The only new enemy in this game is a
Yeah.
necromorph with a fucking axe.
They're not necromorph. Well, they are technically, but it's just a dude with an axe. It's just zombies with two ice pick axes, and they just attack you. And that's when you also learn, hey, shooting them in the arms doesn't really fucking do anything because they give me a machine gun, so I can just shoot them in the head.
Yep. So you're not playing as Isaac. You have fucking machine guns.
Nameless person. I think, was it a bait and switch? Like, did people think you were playing as Isaac? Because I didn't.
No, because it starts and the dude's like, okay, this is so funny. Because I remember I was watching clips and the dude's like, "There's your command. What's going on? Oh, I'm heading in right now." And I remember before when we were playing in single player, there wasn't a dude back there, so the guy just says it. And then if you're playing multiplayer like me and Dan, where there's a dude in the background going, "Jabrowski, what's happening?" And then you say your line, and then he goes, "Man, this snow's gonna kill us." You say the other line like he isn't even there. He's like a fucking spectral ghost.
That's what all the co-op stuff was. It was inconsequential enough that what I was saying didn't affect anything. It was just like you would say the lines that needed to progress the story, and I'd be
plot.
like, "Yeah, I agree with him. We should do that." And no one would say anything about it.
Dead Space 1 and 2. Dead Space 1 starts with you, like, with a mining laser. It's dark. You're by
So
yourself.
cool.
You're in a ship. Dead Space 2, you have a straitjacket on. You're running through, dodging necromorphs, trying not to get killed as Isaac Clarke. Dead Space 3, you're not Isaac Clarke. It's 200 years in the past. You're a man in a fucking, like, marine outfit, and you're shooting through necromorphs with a machine gun, and then you roll down to the bottom of a hill, and then Keith Shabba Jabba Jabba shoots you in the head and then kills himself. And that's how Dead Space 3 starts.
Oh, yeah,
and then when you're Isaac Clarke, you're like crying over Ellie. And I don't know what happened. Because me and Dan talked about this a lot when we were playing. Dead Space 3 looks much worse than Dead Space 2.
We were playing it on high settings on PC. It looks horrible.
The character models look like fucking shit. They look like awful. They look crap.
It's my favorite type of character models where they have Play-Doh hair. Like Isaac's hair is just molded into his scalp.
They have Play-Doh hair, and they're like models. They don't have enough emotion like vertices. When they're talking, it's like a ventriloquist dummy's mouth going up and down. It looks like shit. Ellie's new boyfriend looks like a fucking Play-Doh man. He looks terrible.
He's a jock. He's like a fraternity guy that somehow got enlisted into like the most private military sector of the entire space universe.
People bust into Isaac's apartment because he's crying over because it's 10 years later or something and Ellie left him. And they're like, "Isaac Clarke, we're the last members of the government left. and we need your help to track down Ellie."
Yeah,
and you go
it's
outside
like,
and you start headshotting dudes in the street and
like just guys, just
people.
people. You're like headshotting people, and yeah, didn't they need your brain to like disassemble the marker because it made it or something?
We'll talk about overall plot later, but yeah, basically Chucky from Rugrats or Elton John, whichever you prefer. He's the leader of the cult who's worshipping the markers which cause the necromorphs, and he needs Isaac Clarke's brain or something to activate some shit in the marker or something like that. It's basically like 20 minutes of you fighting dudes not playing Dead Space and using cover, like a cover-based shooter that barely works and rolling around, and then like a bombastic like necromorph outbreak happens. Like it's just garbage.
Yeah.
And then you go out into space, and I remember playing it with you. And it's like we're in space for like 5 hours, and it's so fucking boring because you're just like,
everything looks the same. Every ship looks the same.
Every corridor looks the same.
Like, and the Ishimura in Dead Space 1, the Ishimura? That's what it was called. Everything looked. It was a ship. It was a huge ship. It felt like a lived-in place. It felt like people would walk around and do their jobs.
Yeah.
It felt the same enough that it felt like a contained ship. Everything was made the same, looked the same, but it also felt different. I didn't feel lost.
I didn't get that feeling of like, holy shit, I've been in this room 6 times already.
Yeah, fuck me. Dead Space 3, all the ship looks all the same. Everything's gray and brown and black.
Here's the thing. Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 have an awesome feeling of like, oh, people live here. Like Ishimura, you see rooms of like people's stuff and like journals and stuff. And Dead Space 2 does a little bit better where you go through like a mall and you go through a daycare and you go through a bunch of different places. It's really cool. Unitology Church in Dead Space 2.
It's amazing. I remember that.
It's probably the best environment in all the games. It's awesome. And Dead Space 3 has none of that. Dead Space 2, you're in space going around the same corridors every 5 seconds, having people espouse dialogue at you every 2 seconds.
Yeah, that was my favorite. You'd walk somewhere and then someone would say a dialogue thing, and me playing as the second character, I'd get like cut off and I'd see like my finger in the cutscene. I'd be like, I think I'm back.
I
there.
love that. I love whenever there's a cutscene, Dan would be in the background for 2 seconds, and then he would like zorp around in the background and shit as we're playing.
Just be like walking around.
Because you being the second player, did you follow Isaac in the cutscenes too?
Yeah, I didn't follow myself. Yeah, I followed
That's so
you.
fucking dumb.
It like jumped to you, and then when it came back, it would be like sometimes I could feel like I could see Carver like spawning in for a split second, and they just get plopped into the setting, and I'd be like, okay, I'm here.
It's fuck me.
What was I gonna say? My favorite part was when we were in space doing the horrible shit. We were like, okay, this is the fast travel thing in space. And you got in the driver's seat, and it played a low-quality MP4.
So basically, you got in a
going.
space shuttle, and you'd zoop around different places in like the space zone, the orbital zone of this planet, and it would show a Game Boy SP screen where a fucking Dead Space MP2 would play, where you couldn't even tell what the fuck was going on.
That was the funniest thing in the world.
That was the most egregious thing in that fucking game. That was
like,
terrible.
You could so clearly tell it wasn't at in-game footage. It was just like a
It was an
movie
MP4.
file they put
And it was
slapped on top.
It was the worst quality MP4 I've ever seen in a video game.
That was funny. That made me love this game. I think I love this game.
You find Ellie very quickly, and she's like, we gotta stop the markers. This is the marker planet. So you're zooping around in the space a little bit, and you get like a shuttle together. And there's another, like, stupid action sequence where you just crash this shuttle into the fucking planet.
You're, like,
everyone gets
smashing
lost
through
and you find
shit.
them again.
And my favorite, I also like when a big piece of metal shoots through the hull and smashes a dude in the head, and Isaac just goes, ew, and, like, pushes him out of the chair.
Literally,
and doesn't even care.
You were talking to that guy before. He was like, I don't like you, Isaac. You're gonna get us killed. Like, just want to go home. Fuck this. And then he dies in 3 seconds with a fucking piece of hull shoved through his head. And Isaac's finding Ellie in the snow, and he goes over he finds the bit of the bridge and turns his body because he thinks it's Ellie, and it's that guy. He's like, woo, and just throws him to the side.
Just dumps him. He just doesn't give a fuck.
It's
He
so
throws him.
funny.
He's like, disgusting, gross, get off me. It just tosses him to the side.
Anyway, I would say, because we started playing on the ice planet, and then we were like, okay, sign off, Jim, sign off, Dan, and we gave each other a little salute, and we climbed back into our shack bed, and we fell asleep in our 40 pajamas.
Yep.
And the next day,
Oh, it's the funniest thing I've ever
old
fucking
Jimbo decided to back up his files, so he copied all his files into his external hard drive, like all the Shack back files and Word documents and stuff. And then old Jimbo booted up Dead Space 3 because he was the host, and my save file was gone.
We start discarding, and Jim's all quiet, and I'm like, Jim, did you disconnect or whatever? And he just goes, my save's not there. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, what are you talking about, Jim? Because it has cloud save. I was like,
Yeah.
Jim, what are you talking about? Your save's not there. Cloud saves. He's like, it's not loading anything. It says loading, and it just loads nothing.
I literally, because it came up and it was like, save file not detected. Use cloud save backup. And I was like, yeah, I'll use the cloud save backup. It has it. It had it from the date we used it. From the day we used it, it had the backup. Because we played on the 31st and it had the day we used it. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That's when we played. So I loaded that up. No save file. And then
So,
Dan's like,
okay, I'm like, I can do it.
okay, Dan's like, okay, I can do it. And then we loaded a Dan's save. And he's playing an Isaac now and I'm playing as Carver. And we're like, oh, this might work. And I load in and I'm like, wait. I have the
Yeah, so
regular-
I was Isaac,
Yeah.
but I had my weapons.
You had your
I
weapons.
made as Carver, and then yeah, Jim's like, I don't
I
have the weapons,
I have the unupgraded plasma cutter and the like little shitty machine gun you get
and
in
my
the beginning.
your suit wasn't upgraded at all
No.
either. I remember that, and I was like, okay, Jim, well, we'll find a bench. I'm sure it'll be there. I was like, why would it not be there? Like, I'm sure your parts will be there. They're co-op.
And dread is setting into my heart. Dread is slowly just descending down my body.
A black hole's opening in your chest, and you can feel somewhere deep inside you, you're gonna get there, Jim, and it's not gonna be there. Those parts
And
aren't gonna be there.
sure enough, we spent 2 minutes and we ran through half of the map. We got back to the bench and it was not there. And I said, Dan, I am not playing this game again. And I uninstalled it.
So we got about you're probably
I'd say
probably
about
more
half.
than a third,
Right-
just
yeah,
shy
right
of
under
half.
half.
We're on chapter 10, so if
Yeah.
that puts it into I think there's I want to say 18 chapters for some reason.
But I remember the rest of the game, right? Like the rest
I
of the
remember
game,
the rest of the game. I played it.
everyone else in the crew dies. And at a certain point, Ellie's new boyfriend betrays you. And
Yep.
you have to kill him.
Yep.
And then you just like go through space with Ellie. And then you blow up like the big alien at the end. And then it's done. And it's just like a piece of shit game. Let me read you my Steam review I made of Dead Space 3. Dead Space 3 is one of the worst games I've ever played. On the one hand, it's a money-grubbing bastardization of a series. On the other, it's a frustrating, obtuse, unfinished, irritating game to actually attempt to go through. Rip Visceral and fuck EA.
Very sad.
Because let me tell you, it was clearly not finished. All the shit with you in multiplayer, that was not finished.
Oh,
you
God,
zooping
no.
around the background and zorping around and not having If we went further in the game, I know there's a part where you do in co-op where you get like Carver's backstory or some shit, where you do a little side mission or something. 2/3 of the way through the game.
Yeah, that's when you like to see it. You like to stew in the character for around, 6 to 10 hours, and then know why.
Here's the thing, too, is that it is full of microtransactions. And
Oh,
Dead
fuck
Space
me.
2 had some microtransactions in it, like but it was just suit
They had
skins
like
and stuff.
suits and stuff
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
But Dead Space 3, you can literally pay money to bork the balance of the game.
Yeah, you can pay money to get the strongest weapons instantly that you'll never need to upgrade, and they'll like what was the thing that I made that was ridiculous?
It was like
It's like a shotgun, a force shotgun
Yes.
with
and
the
you
thing
made
on the bottom.
you made an automatic grenade launcher that pushed people away.
Yeah, so the shotgun, I was like, Jim, I feel like this is kind of powerful. And it was like, I just shot a necromorph in the head and all of his limbs exploded. And I was like, huh, interesting.
It was so fucking dumb. Because
Interesting.
the thing with Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 1, right, is they have cool weapons. They have like the plasma cutter, which is like a laser beam, a sideways laser beam you can rotate.
Yeah.
And a breach cutter, and like a pole gun, and the Ripper where you hold a saw blade in front of you and cut up necromorphs.
I
with
remember
it and
that.
shit.
That's sick.
So in Dead Space 1 and 2, you can carry 4 weapons with you, right? And each weapon has an alternate fire. And in Dead Space 3, you each get to pick. So that's like 8 weapons, right? That's like 8 weapons. Dead Space 3, if you play multiplayer, you each get 2 weapons, and each of them can have like 2 attachments on them.
It's
or
like
if you want
different
to use,
bodies and stuff.
you can have like, or you can like really upgrade one part. Like you can have like
Yep.
the plasma cutter rotate. So that's less than 8 weapons. So if you play in multiplayer in Dead Space 3, you have like probably 2 or 3 less weapons you did in Dead Space 1 or 2 with you at all times.
I will say, I think Dead Space 3's weapon system was almost there. I think it's almost cool. I think it is a little cool.
I think it's a little cool, but it's so
It's bare,
not finished.
No,
it's not
bare
finished.
bones.
The UI fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's cumbersome, it's obtuse. You have to load into a bunch of different menus to do one thing. Yeah.
It's such like a disappointment that they had this good idea of like, oh yeah, you can put this or that on your weapons and stuff, and then just did, oh yeah, we have all the weapons from the other games, and then they just put in like shotguns and SMGs and stuff, like garbage weapons that weren't in Dead Space before because they're not interesting.
Because they're not useful for the enemies you were fighting, but now they just made them useful.
I want to talk about the plot a little bit too.
Me too. So I want to say, I don't like this game at all. I don't think I dislike it as much as Jim, because I do like it. I think it's interesting just because of the environment change when they get onto the snow planet and the alien ruins and stuff like that. I think that's
you find the aliens in the series too. That's probably the best part of this
because
game.
I like
aliens.
weird shit like that. I like that. It's interesting just because it's a locale change. Can I say the ending? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, fuck this game.
Okay. I wish they went more balls to the wall with it, and if they ever do anything with the series again, I'm sure that remake for Dead Space 1 is a soft kind of touching point to see if they want to continue something. Mm-hmm. I really liked how weird and stupid the ending was. You find out that all the necromorphs are supposed to, when they inhabit a planet, they, like, gather together and they make like a brother moon or something.
They make a moon.
They make a moon of biological matter that like goes around the solar system, kind of like Hellstar Remina from Junji Ito's story, and it like eats other planets and stuff.
Yeah.
So at the end of Dead Space 3, you like destroy a moon or something. You like destroy one moon, and you're like, okay, it's over. And then you come back, and it's like you do some cutscene or something happens, and it's like, Jesus Christ. And there's like
8
dozens.
moons,
Yeah, there's a
around
bunch
the
of
Earth.
them. And then that was where it ends. And I love that. I think that is stupid and weird, and I like it a lot.
Well, here's the thing with Dead Space, right? Is it had a cool like setup, because in the Dead Space universe, there's this religion called Unitology, which is the biggest religion on Earth at that point. It's kind of based on Scientology, where these people think that this like cedar race like created humans, and they're gonna come back or whatever, and then basically in Dead Space 1, you find their god. You find the marker, which is their idol they use, their iconography they use in their religion. And the marker, instead of giving everyone salvation, turns them into fucking horrible goddamn zombies that won't die and just kill everything around them. So that's pretty scary. But then in Dead Space 2, people know what the marker does, and people are starting to worship it and just be like, yep, this is what we need to do because we're unitologists, and just start turning into zombies freely, and which is more explored in Dead Space 3. But you still don't know why the markers are there. And there's this cool contrast, as someone who, like, went to fucking school for English, this cool contrast between, like, the marker, which, like, devours planets and turns them into zombies and stuff, and the human beings in Dead Space. Because the first ship in Dead Space is a planet cracker. Like, humans are at the point where they're busting up other planets to continue to survive. Like, it's garbage. They're basically doing the same thing. In Dead Space 3, it's like, the marker is, like, superior alien race that just feeds off other, like, sentient races and then turns them into nutrients for themselves.
Yeah, it's a parasite.
Yeah, because part of the reason why people wanted to use markers in Dead Space 2 is because they created, like, energy. But they didn't know that energy came from this, like, reaping the souls of billions and zillions of people. It was so weird and fun.
The other thing I liked about... So, Dead Space 3 story does suck ass. It sucks.
Very bad.
It's stupid.
It doesn't... Like, on the outside, it doesn't suck. Like, if you looked at the plot summary, you'd be like, oh, that might not be too
that's
bad.
That's kind of weird.
But the writing is fucking shit. And the character interactions are so generic and bad.
Isaac went from being like a normal engineer to like an epic dude. He's epic. He slides around. He does what needs to be done. He drives the ships.
That's one of the worst parts of this game is that Isaac, instead of being like, you don't name this guy in the first one, and then like a capable dude in the second one, like a dude who like knew what he was doing.
He's like a super soldier.
To Arnold Schwarzenegger, like grabbing a bazooka and shooting fucking zombies and shit. Like it was dumb as hell, and I hated the direction they took that.
Yep, me too. We didn't talk about it, but we noticed it immediately. The bazongas on Ellie.
Oh yeah, Ellie's like a normal lady in Dead Space 2.
She's just a normal engineer woman, that's all she is.
Yeah, like just a normal lady. And I don't know why they didn't make her the co-op partner in Dead Space 2.
I don't know why either.
That doesn't make any fucking sense. It's probably because they wanted to appeal to dude bros who wanted a straight white dude as their fucking protagonist, but... Ellie in the second one just has this low-cut halter top on and her terrible... Worse model than she has in Dead Space 2. Like, worse fatal
Way worse.
And she's just like Booba Woman that you save. So if you didn't play Dead Space 2, you'd be like, ah, yes, Isaac Clarke's Booba Woman. He's going after... it's just perking my simian fucking brain into playing this game.
Yeah, I liked in the second one she was wearing like a normal engineering uniform. She was just wearing like a uniform, like cargo slacks and a
shirt. She was wearing clothes.
Or whatever. And yeah, in the third one, she's wearing an ultra low-cut V-neck in space for some reason.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. I will say that, like, it is not the developer's fault the Dead Space
not at all.
Like this, me and you know this, that Electronic Arts, which is probably one of the worst publishers in gaming, were like, we need you to sell 8 billion copies in order to make the money back because we're tripling the game's budget in this advertising campain.
They are the necromorphs in this instant. EA eats game developers and sucks out biofuel.
Their soul, because they made Visceral, put all this crappy stuff in this game. The microtransactions, the booba, the bad story, the cover-based shooting, all this stuff, right? That made it feel like as a game from 2006. And then they were like, yes, Visceral, go make Battlefield Hardline. Yes, Visceral, go make this other game you don't want to make. And then they just closed their studio.
Yep, fucking horrible.
Fucking shit. And now they're trussing up Dead Space. They took the spade and they dug up Dead Space's dead fucking corpse and now trudging along as a remaster after they
Weekend at Bernie's it. They took it out, they're driving it around, they're showing it off to people. And it makes me so mad because I think they did that because they saw what's happening with Activision Blizzard and they were like, holy fuck, we could be on the chopping block. Get all PR around us right now to be about Dead Space. Get it good. Reactivate the Twitter account, boys. Fucking pisses me off.
Here's this twofold, because Dead Space basically started the new resurgence of modern horror. Like, Dead Space 2 came out, and then Resident Evil 6 was bad, and Dead Space 3 was bad, and people were like, okay, so they made Resident Evil 7, they've made, like, PT, they've made a lot of good games after that, and now that horror's good again, they're like, oh yeah, let's trudge out Dead Space, the game we gave up on.
I don't think that game needs a remaster.
It'll be bad. Here's the thing. People won't like me saying this. I think the remake of Mass Effect looks like garbage. Looks like fucking shit.
I agree with you on that. Brandon didn't agree with you on that point. I don't think it looks as bad as you think it does, but I don't think it looks better.
Good.
They just added on... They added on light effects that weren't intended to be there in the first place.
The thing that was egregious in Dead Space or Mass Effect the remake is they destroyed the lighting in that game. The game looks like crap because they like messed with every aspect of the lighting. And I bet they're gonna mess with Dead Space and make it look worse. But that's gonna happen.
Pray for it. I'm sure it'll have some type of microtransactions because why wouldn't it?
Yep. It'll be
We'll
bad.
see. I think we need to stop talking about it. I really see why we could talk about it for a couple hours, though, because there's a lot to say about the whole Dead Space series.
The last episode we did a lot of plot summary, which I don't like a lot in podcasts now because it just wastes people's time. But we talked about those games a lot, and we had a lot to say.
Yep.
I feel like we had a lot to say here, too. I would say that if you want to play Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 are some of the best horror games ever made. Get them on PC and mod them. And if you don't want to do that, if you have your 360 or your PS3 lying around, probably a copy of Dead Space 1 and 2 is like less than $10 if you go to your local game store. So just pick them up and play them.
Yeah.
Like, they're fucking good-ass games.
Yeah.
Don't watch the rest of this stuff around them, but I'm sorry I made you play Dead Space
games.
3 this week, Dan. I'm sorry I ruined our hunt time. Yeah, the other good part with this was that I lost a save on Dead Space 3, and I was like, we're not playing this again. And we had awesome games in Hunt. We played Hunt for a couple hours, and we had some good fucking runs. That was good.
Yeah, we'd finish playing Dead Space, and then Jim would go, you loaded up Hunt one night, and I was like, are you playing Hunt? It's like 10:30, and you just went, I'm just like looking at it, just seeing what's up in Hunt. And I was like, do you want to play? And then we played, and we had some great games.
Yeah, it was good. I think we've played like 6 games recently.
They've all been good lately.
Yeah, even when we died, like we had this. People don't know about Hunt, but it's a game. I'm not gonna explain Hunt. We were playing well, but we just died, and it was okay because it was like, oh, we were still doing good and whatever. It was
all
we
good.
Just died, yeah.
It's a game where you expect to die. I think that wraps it up for the whole shitty Dead Space thing. Play Dead Space 1 and 2. Play 3 if you have it, maybe, if you really want to.
If you're the kind of person who likes Resident Evil 6, you might like Dead Space 3.
Yeah.
So Dan, I'm putting the candle snuffer on. I'm drawing the shades. I'm putting Radicus in his little nappy bed in my lap, and we're climbing into bed together. What are we doing for Dead Space? For Shack Out Back episode 22. It's your pick. I'm scared.
Nice warm.
I'm scared.
My pillow. Why are you scared?
Because you were like, I know what we're gonna do when we were walking around on the hike, and I was like, oh god.
I did know what we were gonna do, and I kind of thought it over and talked about it with Cass. And this is my other thing that I was gonna do. Okay. Originally, I was gonna say I want to talk about SteamWorld Dig because I've been playing the SteamWorld Dig games a lot, and they were all on sale. I'd still say buy them because they're really good, but I don't want to do another video game.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Netflix series He-Man Masters of the Universe that just came out.
Oh.
Yeah, because I watched that.
I know nothing about He-Man. I'm not.
You will like the media surrounding it. Let me tell you that much.
What does that mean?
It's He-Man, and there's a woman starring in it, and He-Man's not much in it, so I'm sure you can figure out what the...
I'm sure the neckbeards are screaming about that. I'm sure those disgusting fucking degenerate basement-dwelling fucks were like, I want my He-Man!
Oh, Jim, get into bed. Get into bed, Jim.
He starts brushing my face. All right, I think that's taking us out on Shack Out Back.
That'll be
an episode of me being pissed off about Dead Space. And next time I'm gonna talk about how much I hate nostalgia bait man children. So good night, everybody.
Good night, gents.
Good night, darling.
Goodbye, Jim.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Dan.
Good night, everybody.
Nostalgia bait man children.